Lesson 10, Distribution Table, Example 1. Use the political party affiliation data, question 2, from our Sierra College Elementary Statistics Student Survey to complete the distribution table given below and describe the result. Well, in the distribution table given below, the columns are clearly labeled. Therefore, we know we need to include the political party, the frequency, and the percentage in this table. What isn't included is the descriptive title. All graphical methods need to have a title appearing above it. An informative title describes the data and the population or sample of interest. In this example, the data is political party, and the sample was selected from Sierra College Elementary Statistics students. Therefore, both of these items need to be included in the title. So here's one acceptable title: Political Party Affiliation of Sierra College Elementary Statistics students. Now, to complete the first column, political party, we need to look at the data. Here, question 2 asks the students, what is your political party affiliation? The student responses were limited to Democrat, Republican, Independent, or other. So these are our data items that need to be clearly displayed under political party in the table. So Democrat, Republican, Independent, other were our data values for political party. Now frequency. To complete the frequency column, we need to count the number of Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and others that appear in the sample. To do this, we need to look at the actual sample data. Now, the data here is coded. So to count the number of Democrats in the sample, we need to count all the ones, because the code number 1 is used to represent Democrats in the sample. So going through the column and counting the ones, we find there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Therefore, there's a frequency of 10 Democrats that appear in this sample. The code number 2 denotes Republicans. So now going through the data and counting the number of 2's counts the number of Republicans. Here we find there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Therefore, the frequency is 21, because there's a total of 21 students in the survey that were Republican. For independents, the code number was 3. So now going through the data and counting the number of 3's would count the number of students who identified themselves as independents. Here we find there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's a total of 9 students who identify themselves as independent. Therefore, the frequency of independents in the sample is 9. Finally, code number 4 denotes students who identify themselves as an other. So counting the 4's, we get 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 students identify themselves as being independent. Therefore, the frequency of others in this sample was 4. Now, to complete the percentage column of this distribution table, we have to take the frequency, which is how many for each category, and divide by the total sample size. For Democrats, the frequency was 10 because there were 10 students who identified themselves as Democrat out of a total number of 44 students in the survey. The total sample size can be obtained by adding all of the frequencies. So in this case, the percentage of Democrats can be calculated by taking the frequency of 10, dividing by the total sample size, 44, and multiplying by 100% to convert it to a percentage. This result works out to be 22.72727%. But following the customary round-off in percentage in a distribution table, all we need to do is carry out to the nearest tenth of a percent. So in this case, the result rounds off to 22.7%. Now to find the percentage of Republicans in the sample, we take the frequency of Republicans, which was 21, divide by the total sample size of all students, which was 44, and 21 divided by 44 times 100% gives us a result of 47.72727%. Rounding this result off to the nearest tenth of a percent, we get a result of 47.7%. Now to find the percentage of independents in the sample, you take the frequency, which was 9, divide by the sample size, 44, convert to a percent by multiplying by 100%, you get 20.45454%. Rounding this result off to the nearest tenth of a percent, that is, carrying one extra place after the decimal in the percentage, you get 20.5%. Finally, to determine the percentage of others in this sample, you take the frequency of others, which is 4, divided by the total sample size, which is 44, and multiplying by 100% gives you the percent of 9.09090%. Rounding this result off to the nearest tenth of a percent, we get 9.1%. Now, just as the sum of all the frequencies always equals the total sample size, in this case 44, adding up all the percentages in a distribution table gives you the total of all percent, which is 100%. So therefore, we have completed the distribution table. Now we need to describe the results. In describing the results, we need to put in words of the problem the results that we see. That is, a description reports results that can be directly derived from the data. So here we see that the largest percentage is 47.7% of students, and they identified themselves as Republican. So there are more Republicans in the sample than any other political party. This was followed by Democrats, of which there was 22.7% of the sample, and Independents, which was 20.5%. So there's nearly the same amount as Democrats as there were Independents. But still, both of those together don't quite equal the total number of Republicans, which was the most. Other was just the remaining 9.1%. So a description could be putting all this into words, could give us the following result. Nearly half, 47.7% of Sierra College elementary statistics students surveyed identified themselves as Republican. There were about the same percentage of students choosing Democrat, 22.7%, as those who selected Independent, 20.5%. The remaining 9.1% picked Other.